Hey, what's up, everybody? I wanted to take a minute and welcome you to the Donut Shop podcast. I had a suggestion from somebody who watches the show and thought it was a good idea. I'm always open to suggestions about the show. And he mentioned that I never usually introduce myself or at least tell you about who I am. And with adding new fans or new viewers all the time, it might be a good idea to go over that. So, my name is Justin. I've been a police officer for 20 years. I'm actually getting ready for retirement. I'm going to retire and start doing this podcasting stuff full time. During my career, I've worked on road patrol. I've been a crisis negotiator. Did that for about 8 years. It was great training. Learned a lot about mental health and working with people. I was a school resource officer. I worked in the elementary school and then in the high school. I did that for 6.5 years. Then I also moved into the community resource unit and public information officer unit. So I did a lot of community engagement. I ran our social media for the department. And then I also spoke with the news. Kind of leads into this, even though I was a podcaster before I was in that unit. I've been doing podcasting since about 2012. I started with a soccer podcast with some friends for a local soccer team. We had a great time. It was a little different than this, obviously, but I was on the mic and doing that kind of stuff. Then eventually in 2020, started this podcast with a friend of mine, Nick, and he's no longer on the show, but the show drives on, and here we go. Basically, it's a cop sitting in a donut shop, and someone interesting walks in. They don't always have to be law enforcement based. As a law enforcement officer, we know when we're in uniform, pretty much everybody comes up and talks to us. Especially when we're trying to take a break and eat dinner or eat a lunch or something like that. It's not usually a bother, and sometimes you get interesting stories out of it. So that's kind of where I created the premise for this podcast and what it is today. Now let's get into the episode.
Calling all units, calling all units. Donut Shop has a fresh dozen. Go ahead and take a 1040.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Donut Shop podcast. I am still here, even though I've done a costume change at I'm going to call it Counterculture Studios, the studio, whatever. It's part of the night shift studio that we're going to use later tonight at 8 o'clock. But, kind of a content house building. And I'm here with my buddy, Josh Ruohonen.
Got it.
Okay. You'll see the spelling in the thumbnail and in the title. It's not easy, but you said it's from Finland.
It's from Finland.
The name comes from
Put it in
Finland.
perspective, I had a math teacher for 3 years. He only got it once right, and it was on accident. So don't feel bad. You got it right.
I know. So, and as some of you can see by his decoration on his shirt and his hat, that he is a fireman, and I know him through our friend Tyler. And a couple years ago, there was like a philanthropic concert that Tyler put on called Shell Shock, and Josh was one of the sponsors as a tattoo artist and as an artist, and then he did my tattoo on my finger. So I wanted to support the supporters. So the morning of the concert, I said, hey, or well, the day before or whatever, I was like, yo, so you're a tattoo artist, like you're part of this event. Can I get a quick tattoo that should be fast? And he worked it out, and we knocked it out, and it's still looking good to this day. And I still get a lot of compliments on it. People enjoy it, and I try to send people his way. But he's up here in Orlando, and I'm in South Florida, so it's not necessarily the
Thanks for
easiest
coming.
thing to get going. But it was a great experience getting tattooed by you. So I don't know if I left you a Google review. I think I did.
Yeah, you did.
But here's more of your Google review. So if you're up here in Orlando and you're feeling frisky and you want to get your Mickey Mouse tattoo because you had a great weekend in Disney or something, you can slide on over to the east side of Orlando and hit Josh up. I'll put all the information down in the description. So we'll get that out in front. So I guess you could say we've been a little intimate. He's stabbed me a few thousand times.
It was a little close. Drew blood.
Drew blood. So that's good. Healed up perfect, and no complaints on my end. But you're also a fireman, so that's pretty cool. We work here in this first responder space. So tell me a little bit about you, kind of a little bit of your history and kind of what drew you to become a fireman.
Sure. Um, I've been with my agency full time going on, it's 11 going on 12 years.
Mm.
Volunteered for 2.5 years before that with them. Um, Currently, I'm an engineer paramedic with them. So I get to drive the big red truck and
Yeah.
pump the truck
I
and
was gonna
pretty
hit
much,
you up a couple weeks ago when we were up here for a wedding, and I saw one drive by.
yeah.
We were pulling out of one of the Mexican restaurants and Mexican restaurant liquor store area there, and I saw one drive by, and I was gonna text you and go, "Did you just drive by?" But
Probably not me.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, man, I've been with them for quite a while. And leading up to my mom's not really in the best of health, and growing up was when she really started to not be in good health, and the way she dropped and started having 30 to 40 seizures a day.
Oh wow.
And a kid in early high school, late middle school, being able to handle that like cool, calm, and whatnot, um, kind of gave me some sort of direction of like being able to handle myself under pressure.
Hmm.
And so my dad, he recommended lifeguarding for my first job. Went
Yeah.
that route.
Was there
I
family
loved it.
history of like being a fireman or
No,
police officer?
no,
No. Okay.
military, not from my dad, but from both my grandpas.
Hmm.
Um, but nothing in the first responder area. My initial plan was to go into the military. Everybody says that they're going to go in the
Yeah.
military and never do. Um, but I was in ROTC all 4 years. I was commanding officer my senior year. Like that's what I was
Hoo-ah.
gearing
Yeah,
for.
me too. I
And
was XO.
what's that?
I was XO. Yeah.
And that's what I was gearing towards. But my senior year of high school, I dual enrolled and took my EMT,
Hmm.
college credits, free, like
Yeah.
sure, and fell in love with it. And at the time, Florida State, they were given, not the school, but the state of Florida.
Yeah.
Um, when you go to fire school, you get a certificate. It's not like a degree, it's a certificate.
Yeah.
And the state at the time was giving you 3 years to get on with the job. You have to be on with the job for 6 months for your certificate to be considered active, and all your training hours goes towards your CEUs at that point. So you don't have to recertify ever, as long as you're with a department.
Yeah.
Put in perspective, we would have there are a few departments that would have 2 to 3 openings, and over 1,500 people would apply.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Like
It's big.
incredibly competitive at the time.
Yeah.
So schools were pumping them out, and nobody was hiring. So I was like, you know what? I'll give myself 3 years. I was going if I went in the military, I'd go in as an E3 anyways.
Yeah.
So it's like big whoop. I missed 3 years. I'd go in at the rank I would have gone in anyways. Cool. Um, got blessed enough to get on with the department. Volunteered for 2.5 years and got full time, and it's where we're at now.
That's awesome.
And I love it, man. I hit a rough spot. I'm sure we're going to talk about it
Yeah.
here, but my current position, fairly newly promoted for the engineer spot, really kind of revitalized me. It's the same show, different seat,
Yeah.
so
So
it's
what's
different
it? So what's
responsibilities
an
on it.
engineer? So for those of us, gun draggers or whatever we call each other and stuff, like I know, but I'm asking for the
Sure,
podcast. Like, what's an engineer's role? We see the shirt and it just says engineer.
sure.
Like,
So you've got here locally in Central Florida, most departments they do both EMS and fire.
yeah,
So most departments now are only hiring paramedics, but the departments like my own that's hiring EMTs, they give you a 3 year expectation to get your paramedic. So you're writing under that firefighter paramedic role. So you're either the guy that's on the front of the nozzle, or you're the guy in the back of the ambulance taking patient care, like that sort of thing. Engineer is a tested, promoted position for my department, and you are responsible for that fire truck, for getting the people. You are driving the fire truck. You are pumping the fire truck. Um, so your guys are inside fighting the fire. You are responsible for making sure that they have water. That they are, if they don't have water, they're not protected. The fire's still going to be going. You were basically providing your guys with that ammo for what they need to be able
yeah,
to accomplish everything from protecting any potential victims inside, to protecting themselves. And all in all, the water is the big part of the equation that puts the fire out.
Yeah.
So if you aren't competent in doing your job because you have to deal with pressures and all sorts of other fancy
Yeah,
stuff.
don't wave me off on that. That's the part that
No,
I was
yeah.
almost going to start to tell the story for. I was like, he's not doing it. He's not talking about it because you've got different hose gauges,
Yeah,
right?
yep,
You've got the size of hoses, and we all know just from layman's terms of all right, you're watering your lawn, you've got a hose wide open that's just
mm-hmm,
kind of putting water down, or you put your thumb on it to create more
sure,
pressure and all that kind
sure.
of stuff. So those are things that you
I'll jump
guys,
into it.
yeah, go
Yes,
for it,
yeah.
man. Get
So
drop into the weeds.
yeah,
You know,
so
this is informative.
the kind of the way I explain it, especially for like the newer guys that have never really had any sort of like application on their own where they're starting to really learn it. I like teaching in almost like an elementary level to under or to explain a little bit more complicated things. So take a coffee straw, small diameter. You have a mouthful of water. You try blowing through it. You have to push a lot to get that mouthful out.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have like a boba straw, a bigger
Yeah.
straw, the same amount of water in your mouth, and it takes very little pressure or effort to get that same amount of water out. The hoses are the same thing. So the smaller the diameter, the higher the pressure, um, the bigger the hoses, the less pressure, and the more water you can essentially get through it. So you talk about fire hydrants all over the place. People know that there's water that comes out of it.
Yeah.
Well, the water comes out of it, and they have the connections, so it can go to the fire truck. So the larger the hose that we can hook up to it, the more water that we can get from it, the more water we can push out on the other end.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Different nozzles have different operating pressures, so understanding the nozzles, what they operate at, your GPMs for gallons per minute. You can have you can put water down, but because it's not at the right pressure, you're not going to be getting the right gallonage. And at the end of the day, when it comes to a fire, if you're not overcoming those BTUs, which is basically the energy output of the fire's not going to go out. So, garden hose, right?
Yeah.
You have a house fire and you're trying to piss on it with a garden hose. You've
I'm
probably
putting
seen videos of
I'm
people
putting
doing
water.
that.
Even if you put your thumb over it and you fanned it out,
It's
it's I'm
not
putting water on it. Why isn't the water?
because
But
it's not
the
enough.
fire's too hot or the
Correct.
fire's too strong,
Correct.
and you're not putting that water's almost evaporating before it even
Essentially.
hits the root of the fire. Because
Exactly.
it's you don't shoot you don't shoot the hose at the flames. You shoot it at the source, right?
Right, right.
Yeah.
And so understanding, so part of the engineer's position is understanding what your lieutenant, who's the overall boss of that fire truck, they're the ones who get, I guess, drive around Miss Daisy. They're the
Yeah.
ones who's in that
Yeah.
front passenger
They
seat.
write the paperwork, don't they?
Oh yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah,
And
but
defend those
they
lieutenants,
do
my
my
lieutenants out there.
evals.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
So,
yeah.
but they're the ones who are when we pull up to the fire, they're going to be the ones kind of
In command.
in command and throwing that play until chief is the one
Yeah.
who's directing. But um, so I have to understand what he's wanting to do, understand what the nozzle is at the end of that line, understand the pressure and the amount of water that comes out. And there's a big panel right behind the driver's seat in the middle of the fire truck. Typically, it's in the middle. All of ours at my department are mid mount, which is what this is. Um, which is where all the levers and all the buttons and stuff. So you have to pull the proper lever to be able to get the water down. You control the pump's RPMs to be able to get your pressure up to what it needs to
So
be.
and then that's the other thing is that it's the fire truck that's doing the pumping.
Mm-hmm.
That's pulling that water. It's yeah, you'll see some pressure released and like, the city street type, oh, we opened up the
Yeah,
valve and
yeah,
the
yeah,
kids are getting to play in it
yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff. Or sometimes the cops get called out because it's just blowing up in the
Yep.
air and there's been a somebody nicked it with a
Car
car or something
accident.
like
Yeah.
that and it's blowing up in the air and it's just like, bro. And oh man, I have video in my phone of this one apartment complex and it's just geysering up in the air and there's a foot of water and
Yeah.
it's one of those apartment complexes. It's a little tight, so like the slope of the road is like a valley,
Yeah.
but it is filled and it's like not even, you can't even drain it fast
I've got a
enough.
picture in the tattoo shop. So firehouses, a lot of them historically will have pictures of calls, of
Yeah.
training, of all that stuff up on the wall. And I do the same thing at my shop. And I've got one picture. There's a car that hit a fire hydrant, And all you see in this picture is just this massive, there's a billboard right next to it, and the water's going up to the top of the billboard. And this sedan is like that big underneath this huge tower
Yeah.
of water. And of course, it's going to cause other problems and stuff. Other people
Yeah.
can potentially lose water. The water department has to come out. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But
Pressure, everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah. So that water's coming into the truck. The truck is what's actually
Activating it or
producing
pressurizing
the
it.
pressure,
Yeah.
and going out. So the engineer, it's funny, my wife is an engineer. So
Oh,
like when I was not a fire department, she's a civil engineer,
okay, like
highway
a
designer,
real
a
engineer.
real engineer.
The
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so and that's kind of why I ask, like, you're a fucking hose dragger, you're a hose squirter. What is this engineer role? I'm asking for the
There's a
audience.
lot of math that's
Yeah, I
involved
know,
in
but yeah.
understanding concept of friction loss.
Yeah.
So you've got the water that's getting pumped through the hose. There's equations that you have to do to be able to figure out this is what needs to come out the end, but if I pump it at that number from the truck, it's actually going to be lost because the friction in the hose. So now I have to pump it higher. So then you have to do your friction loss equations.
Yeah.
So there's math
Well, and
and
then
numbers and stuff that's involved.
and there's some I mean, those hoses can get dangerous too. My boy works out in Fort Myers area, and I think Naples had I think it was a female or somebody that was setting up on a hydrant, and she had like looped it around
Uh-huh.
the hydrant, and that thing just went
Blue.
on, and she got ripped,
Yeah.
and she got like broken pelvis and
Yep.
stuff like that,
We
and
had
just
we had a
scary.
lieutenant years ago. He was standing at the pump panel, and that 5-inch hose, the
Mm,
supply line that goes in, it ruptured, and it blew, and it sounded like a gunshot went off. And same thing, it hit his whole pelvis,
yeah.
burn marks from just from the friction burn from the water hitting him so hard.
Wow.
Like it's
Yeah.
a dangerous thing. Yeah.
So, and that's the other thing. And I mean, I know, you drive by on the highway or on the road, if you're passing a firehouse, you'll see them in the morning or at the beginning of
Mhm.
their first shift or something like that back on, and they're, running through the hoses. So is the engineer doing the inspections, or is that kind of the whole truck?
It's kind of the whole truck. It's everybody's kind of responsibility. At the end of the day, it'll fall back onto the engineer.
Hmm.
Um, but everybody's responsible for safety for one thing, but making sure the equipment's put together. The engineer being responsible of everything, needs to make sure that the people that are doing it are competent,
Yeah, yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
But
Because it's going to come back on you. You're not going to be like, yo,
exactly.
firefighter Jim Bob over here inspected it. Nah, dude.
Yeah, but you're in
Like,
charge of the truck.
yeah,
That's your responsibility.
yeah, for sure.
So, but yeah, in the morning doing truck checkoffs, making sure that everything's put together. The shift may have forgot about a call that they ran on, or they had a call they told you, but now all of a sudden a piece of equipment's missing. Like it's just making sure it's setting yourself up for a good day, making sure
Yeah,
everything's working properly. Of course, checking the pump, making sure the pump's operable. Can't tell you how many mornings you go to check the truck and something's wrong, so now you have to go down to fleet
yeah,
and like it's a whole thing. But
yeah,
you would rather it happen when you're checking it off versus you're on scene. And I forgot where it was. There was somewhere, I think over in Europe, I just saw a report. There were 3 engines that had failures on an actual fire scene. And one was a pump issue. The other two were like actual motor issues. And they all had to, on an active fire.
yeah,
You got 3 trucks that are getting blown up
yeah,
like it's not a good day.
yeah. No,
So trying to do any sort of preventative stuff,
yeah,
just making sure you're starting off right.
yeah. So we'll take a quick break, and then we'll be right back. And I want to talk about, family, home, work, life balance type stuff. So we'll be right back. Yo, what's up, guys? I want to do a follow up. I used to run an ad or commercial for my friends at HPTRT, Human Performance, talking about like testosterone therapy or, all that kind of stuff. I finally have been. I've been using it. I've been, a member of the program for over 6 months now. I got my second round of labs, and I'm going to be upfront and honest with you. When I first was tested, I was at 330. I'm a 43-year-old man, and my test was at 330. I didn't even go through the injections. I'm going through a couple different types of prescription pills that they have to help me out. All legal, all on the up and up. But after this 6 months, my test has gone up to 910. As somebody who works out 3 to 4 times a week, wants to stay young, wants to stay healthy with all this stuff. It's helped with all kinds of stuff, like my focus, continuing to get me like the best sleep that I've ever gotten. I've enjoyed it. So go over to hp-trt.com and check it out. You can bring, if you've had lab work within the last 6 months, you can bring your own lab work and they'll start you up. If you haven't, then you pay for the lab work through them. Or you can just go to your own doctor and do your lab work through your normal insurance, which I'm sure has a zero copay, if anything. And use the code DSP20, and that'll get you 20% off forever, as long as you're a member, as long as you use Human Performance. So it's a great program, good people over there. So go ahead and get it done. And if you've been thinking about it, or if you've looked at recent tests in your testosterone, and you want a boost of that kind of stuff, get into it, because you can also get the testosterone through them as well as peptides and other things. So DSP20 will get you 20% off. Good luck. All right. So the firemen don't have like a normal schedule.
No.
Like, it is not a normal lifestyle to be a firefighter. Whereas, I'm a police officer, or well, you used to be a police officer. Even when we went to like a 12-hour shift, it's still a 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I mean, granted, I'm up at 4:20 in the morning for briefing at 5:30, but I'm off at 5. I'm having dinner, going to bed, back up in the next morning, but I'm off.
Mm-hmm.
You guys work like 24s, 48s. Like, what are you
Yeah,
guys doing?
so a regular shift, traditionally a regular shift for us here in local Central Florida, is 24/48. So we're on for 24 hours, we're off for 48. So work one full day, 8 a.m. to 8 a.m., and then you're off for 2 days. There have been several local departments, and it's going throughout Florida and throughout the states right now. They're moving to a 24/72. So you're off for 3 days. And so they're adding an extra shift. Uh, by that I mean you have A shift, B shift, and C shift traditionally. So that's one for each of the days.
Each of the days, yeah.
And then because you'd be adding seven, or it would be a 72, they have to add a D shift. There's been a lot of studies that have been going around talking about just longevity, mental health, and stuff like that. That within those 2 days off, it's not enough.
Huh.
You can, we're on shift for 24 hours. We can get sleep or we could not. And
True.
so
Yeah.
within those 2 days that you have off, that first day you are kind of decompressing from your shift. And that second day, you're prepping to go back on a shift, like mentally, whether we realize it or not. So there's not an actual like pause.
Yeah.
So there have been a lot of studies that are saying that that 72 is a lot more beneficial than the
Yeah,
24/48.
that's interesting, because yeah, like I'm like we're watching, just like, I don't live it, so I've got to live it through TV or whatever. And a very realistic show, at least in the medical field, is The Pit, that is on HBO
Mm-hmm.
Max right now, and it's basically each 1 hour episode is 1 hour in that
Mm-hmm.
emergency department
Right.
at that hospital, and it's just like, fuck, dude, this is the same day. This is the same day,
Mm-hmm.
and like they roll the story like almost like where they say cut for the episode 2, they almost like restart episode 3, like right there.
Yeah.
And
It's a cool concept.
you start to like, my wife and I look at each other, and it's like we're only on like episode 5 or whatever the second season is, and we're like, bro, this is the fifth fucking episode, or this is the fifth hour of their
Mm-hmm.
shift. And she's like, don't they work overnight? Like, I don't, and so, and it's that kind of thing. But you just, and yeah, granted, it's a TV show, but it's a TV show where they're in Pittsburgh, so you're in a major metropolitan
Yeah.
area, and they're a trauma center. And in this show, no spoilers, sorry, but it is, one of the other hospitals goes down.
Mm-hmm.
So they're now bringing traumas to them. So
Yeah.
it's like anybody, so they're dealing with their traumas, they're dealing with their walk-ins,
Mm-hmm.
they're bringing people in from triage, and they're like just walling them and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. And you guys know this because you're the ones that are
Yeah.
delivering a lot of those people, and or the more serious ones. And so it's just a crazy stressful environment that they have patients die. they have patients fight, they have patients argue with them, they have internal trauma or internal drama of coworkers and different stuff like that. And that's just so far in the season, a 5 hour period.
Yeah.
So for you guys, whether you're in a busy area or not, you could see a whole lot of stuff in 24
Oh,
hours.
yeah.
Because I know that we do that as cops, where it's like we'll be on an accident with injuries, and then an alert tone will go out because it was somebody got strong arm robbed. And then we got to break off of that because there's a shoplifter at Target. And it's like you've got different phases of the job that you got to work in, just like you guys. You might have a car fire, then you got to go to a heart attack, then you got to go pronounce a dead body,
Yep.
and then you got to go to a structure fire, maybe, or
We're
a stove.
yeah.
You know
You guys are right along with us.
yeah.
And
We're actually on those most
yes.
of those calls,
Yeah.
and we can a lot of times go, tag, you're it, like
Yeah.
just like you
Yeah.
guys do to us.
Yeah.
So and that's part of the fun of it, and it's important for all of us, even civilians alike, but both sides of this coin, the first of the first responder world of firemen and police officers, that like we're going to those same things, we're doing those same things, but although we're complaining about 12 hours, you guys are doing it for 24.
24. Yeah.
We'll bust your balls about the recliners, the video game systems and stuff like that, but
that's why.
it's
Like
I guess
that's
why you
that
need
little
it.
bit of a break,
Yeah.
And on top of that stuff, we're still expected to do training. We're still expected to do like inspections or area surveys where we're going into these businesses. Like it's still busy work if we're not getting calls. And then you add the calls on top of it. You may or may not be getting sleep for the night. You may be on a double and it's a 48-hour shift, and you add two of those shifts together. Like
And
it's
you were only able to scrap together 6 hours of
broken.
poor
Yeah.
sleep, because like I know what I do, and like I live on my Apple Watch, and because I have the Ultra, I can sleep with it, and I can charge it later, like after I go to the gym and I'm in the shower. And so I look at my sleep, and granted, I'm retired now, so I can get scores. It scores you and it tells you, like last night I went to bed at 10 and I woke up at 4:50 so I could drive up here to Orlando. So I got a whatever 87. Still a decent sleep score, but I highly doubt a fireman is getting a good sleep score, because it tells you your duration, your heart rate,
Want me to show you
because
mine? It says fair every day.
yeah, I'm sure,
Like,
because yeah, you guys work off of alert tones on every call, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
those things like restart my heart every time I hear them,
Yep.
because for us it's usually something major. For you guys it's just slip and fall, lift
It can be
assist,
anything.
or major car accident, rollover.
Yeah.
So and you guys are getting alert tone for everything, but
Yeah, and on that side of the alert tone, I'm sure we'll get into it later, but like there's a lot of PTSD for me that had stemmed from that.
yeah,
It could be anything. It could be literally helping somebody with their smoke detectors
yeah,
to think of a bad call. It could
yeah,
be anything.
yeah,
And it always starts the same. We don't get the information until dispatch gets it, but that's how every call
yeah.
starts,
But they got to put it out as bad as it sounds at the beginning, and then they can slowly feed you as they slowly get the
Yep.
information from the caller.
Yeah.
But so just to kind of wrap up the shift work, how's that go for family life? Like
Oh,
how's that, like, because you're gone, like I
yeah.
mean, my wife, like right now I'm on a 24.
Yeah.
Like I'm gone, I left this morning and I'm gonna get back tomorrow afternoon, so I'm on a 24.
Yeah.
And my wife, she doesn't like it.
My wife, I thank God every day that I married a very competent woman,
Hmm.
very strong, if you want to say independent woman that does need a man, like she can handle herself.
Yeah.
Um, but like for example, we got the freeze here a couple weeks ago
Oh
in
yeah.
Central Florida,
Yeah.
and of course, because everything happens when I'm on shift. I was on shift on a call, and she tried calling me, can't answer. She sends me a video, and our backflow for our irrigation broke, spewing water everywhere. See a notification on her front door camera. She's going out to turn the water off by the street.
Yeah.
She does that. She turns off the water to the backflow. Like she's very, very competent. Um, I don't think I could be married to a woman that's not, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Everything bad seems to happen when we're gone.
Yeah.
And I've got two kids. I've got a 4-year-old and and a 1.5-year-old, and it's rough. I mean, every third day she has to do. She's works still Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
So when I'm gone, she works from home. So then she still has to deal with the kids. So then she still has to do dinner. So then she still has to do bath time. Still has to do bedtime. It's rough.
Yeah.
And she is very understanding if I've had a rough shift, but we also still have home duties that
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
responsible for.
you got some responsibilities, and you can't
Yeah,
just check out when you're at
right,
home,
right.
you know, because daddy had a bad day,
Yeah,
you know. But
exactly.
yeah, I make fun of it, but it
Yeah, it
happens. Yeah,
happens. And I'm sure as a lot of people know, within the first responder industry, has such a high divorce rate.
right.
And that's one reason why you get people who are not treating their PTSD. You get people who, at least on our end, take things home with them. And then you have spouses that aren't quite understanding,
Yeah.
or they
Or
are understanding to a point and then they get burnt out because we're not taking care of ourselves.
right. And the communication sometimes, if
Absolutely.
communication isn't there, that's
Absolutely.
always my huge thing is the communication needs to be 100%. Needs
Hmm.
to be fully open and out there
And
about everything.
my wife and I, that was something that we had to work on in the beginning,
Right.
and still.
Yeah.
But that was like our big hiccup in the beginning. Thankfully, we've kind of gotten past that.
Yeah.
Like I said,
Good.
we're still working on that, but communication is huge. A lot of times, the last thing we want to do is go and talk about our problems or how we're feeling um, to somebody who might already be upset with us,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we've
Yeah.
been doing it for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, no, yeah, it's interesting because you gotta communicate, um you got to give and take because part of what we're here to do is have this relationship, but also we've got to work and provide
mhm.
both people. I mean, we're in a day and age where both of us are working.
Yeah.
You can't just have somebody home to be the captain of the ship at
Mm-mm.
the house while the other person's out. We both have to work, and so you both, and you've got to be receptive to her
Yeah.
stuff, her
Yeah.
things that come up. You may be like, oh, I saw this at work today, and you may think it's this important, but just like we say with, people in the first, the customers in the first responder world, we got to remember that, yeah, just because we've seen this 4 times today, the person that we're talking to, this is the worst day in their life.
Yeah.
This is the worst thing they've seen. We
Yeah.
saw it 3 times after breakfast, but they are
Yeah.
seeing this for the first time in their life.
And that's something
And
that my wife and I had to learn, is to not compare.
yeah,
Like, you're having a bad day. It's not I had a bad day too. Like, straight off the
yeah,
rip, like it, because that comes across as if you want to say, like, competing
yep.
against the attention. Um like, we both
One
had
upping somebody to kind of, and
exactly.
we all get tired of that person in the group when you're talking and they want to one up you.
And it feels like the other person's just not wanting to listen to you. They're just wanting to tell you about your problems. And again, that comes down to communication,
Yeah,
right? And but the home life, we have many hats. We've got all the hats that we wear at work, the problem solvers, the just everything that comes with that. And then at home, you've got husband, father, business owner.
yeah,
Um, you've got son, daughter, whatever, with your parents, like other family. It's being able to know which hat is appropriate for which time, when to hang up one hat and put on the other.
yeah,
And that takes a lot of work, in my experience. Um, Especially when it's hard to take off the hat from work,
right, right, right.
and um, trying to be present at home, like with the kids. There's always somebody at home. The way that my wife and I have managed our schedule, it's either her, myself, or both of us.
Hmm.
Um, I don't want anybody else raising my kids.
Yeah, that's really good. And you had said that earlier, where she on your work day, she's able to work from home. Like that's an amazing thing that we've seen a lot. Maybe like post pandemic,
Yeah.
is that many jobs have been able to allow for a hybrid work
Mm-hmm.
situation and stuff, which can be good and bad. You know, the employer's got to trust their employee to be able to do that work from home and stuff. But in your situation, that is, it sounds like it's excellent.
We couldn't have asked for better. COVID
Yeah.
was really when that happened.
Hmm.
She's in such a traditional workplace, and field, very male driven.
Yeah.
Historically, like they've got to see your face in the office.
Yeah.
And once COVID happened, like all the work that they could do, they do on the computer anyways.
Yeah.
So she was able to, well, the whole office was able to do that. And then once my son came, we were able to kind of shift a little bit more of, because they wanted her to come back. And it was on the understanding of, I will come back, but only on these days. And they worked with her.
Yeah.
And, she's so good at what she does that they don't want to lose her,
And there you go. Like it's you could be successful if you're doing your work, you're doing your job, you're producing, but holy crap, yeah, we're only seeing you these 3 days or
Mm-hmm.
whatever a week or something like that. And it's like, all right, this works, but then you're also creating a better employee because you're allowing for loyalty,
Yeah.
you're allowing for mental
Yep.
health and of the employee, and you know the problems. The my kid's sick today, I got to call in sick too, you know, or sometimes you're not allowed to say that. Like I know in my old off or in my old job, like I don't have kids, so I never had to use that excuse. But I only realized like until late that people they couldn't call in and go, yeah, my kid's sick today. Like that's not per policy
Mm-hmm.
how you can use your sick time. You have to
Yep.
use emergency vacation time.
Yep.
And it's like, yo, if my kid's sick, I'm sick. Like
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
Period. This kid's not driving themselves to the doctor. They're not, checking themselves out of
Mm-mm.
school or whatever. Like that's me. It's an extension. This
Yep.
child is an extension of me. So yes, I am sick. But so that's a semantics paperwork issue, and no, nobody's really. I don't think anybody really was getting like jammed up for that. But it is. It's a big deal, especially when you have young kids. That home life. Because it breeds into like what you mentioned, the first responder community, especially like firemen, with that alternate lifestyle
Mm-hmm.
basically, where it's like you're one person here and you're one person there, and police officers can be the same thing. Um so yeah, that's cool. So let's take a break, and I think we're going to get into some tougher stuff, but then towards the end of the show episode I want to bring it back up into some cool stuff. So we'll go through a little bit of a dip and a roller coaster. So take a break. What's in the cup? Guys, what's in my cup? Blackout Coffee Company. We joined up with them. I've been drinking it and I enjoy it, and I think you may enjoy it as well. So you can go over to our website and click the link, or you can just go to their website, blackoutcoffee.com, and use our coupon code to get 10% off. The code is DSP10. So go over, check it out. All right, we're back from break. So I'm going to go into like a little more difficult of a subject. We talked, and he kind of explained all this to me. And it was a missed opportunity for when I was getting tattooed, because it was like this would be a cool, especially with like these microphones that are super portable. And if I just had like one camera and just do a legit podcast while getting tattooed, and especially now with like the AI voice isolation
Yeah.
in Final Cut Pro for me, I'd be able to knock out the dim music that's playing in the
Mm-hmm.
background in your studio, because he works in a multi-studio building, and so it's not necessarily his music that's playing. And we were talking about like monetization and stuff, if it would hurt the show, which obviously I could care less if it's a good story, it's monetized, whatever. But we wouldn't want to strike or it to get pulled
Yeah.
down just because Cardi B was playing in the background or something like that. So, but yeah, that was a missed opportunity, but still a touching story and a deep story. So, like, tell me about your worst day.
All right. So, um, if anybody's heard the name or cares to look it up, so his name's Austin Duran. We lost a fireman back in July 22. Um, he was on my shift, on my station that day. That morning we had training, um, and him and another guy were directed to go pick up an old piece of equipment. It was a sand trailer. So sand trailer, let's say there's a bad accident, there's fuel and oil and stuff all on the floor, but it's more than what the trucks can normally handle. This truck has extra sand for the
Oh,
absorbing
okay. For
stuff.
like a bigger accident, a bigger
Yeah,
scene.
dump truck rolls through and their hydraulics bust, and now they're dragging it through the city. Well, you can take that sand and go. It's on a trailer with wheels, so you can go and
Okay.
utilize it. So this piece of equipment was supposed to have been out of service. It was out of service for years. These two guys did not have any sort of training on it. For some reason, it was put back in service. Our city maintenance guys had filled it up with sand, and they were directed to bring it from our station 1 to our station 5. And these guys had never seen it, and it was old school, jerry rigged, built back in the day when it was the good old boy system, and that's kind
Yeah.
of what they did. And it should never have been in service anyways. The guys went to hook it up, and the issue with the trailer is when you go to lift it up, it can be back heavy and it can flip very, very easily.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah,
So,
because you're basically talking about just like a flatbed. I'm envisioning like a flatbed
so
sort of with.
picture essentially almost like a V,
Okay.
and it dumps back, and it's on two
Okay.
wheels.
Okay.
Two wheels with kind of like a jet ski trailer
Oh
almost.
wow. Okay. So like a jet ski trailer. All right. Jet ski trailer with like almost like a Bobcat front loader,
Kind of.
just sitting
Yep,
there
pretty
like
similar.
a front loader, but like I'm trying to think of how to describe it. Like yeah, like so it'll dump out the back like
Yes,
as if you
they're
had a front loader on the back of your truck, a back
correct.
loader.
Correct. It
Okay.
was 40. It can carry 4,500 pounds of sand.
Whew. Yeah, that's a lot of yeah.
So, one of the guys was backing up the truck. They went to make the connection. Austin was behind the truck, and it flipped. When it flipped, it caught his shoulder, and basically, not basically, it crushed him up underneath the trailer.
Oh.
Um, and I was the second responding ambulance on this call. Um, when we got there, they had just lifted it off of him, and I was part of the group of people that helped pull him out,
Yeah.
put him on the board. He was still alive, but honest to God, professional opinion, if he was under there anywhere from 30 seconds to another minute, he would have been dead there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Move him over, get him into the back of the truck. Our now fire chief, who was our EMS chief at the time, he was the one who they ran over from admin right across the street. He jumped in the back of the truck, and there was like no room for anybody. Everybody and their mom was in there. And he was like, "You guys stay, you guys go." And I was in the group that he said to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And they took him to ORMC. He was alive, but injuries were god awful bad.
Yeah.
Basically, he was crushed from the nipple line down, essentially.
Yeah.
Um, and multiple fractures and just
Mm.
messed up. But he was alive when they got him to ORMC,
Wow.
which is our local trauma center, our level 1 trauma center. He was alive for 15 more days before he passed. Um, and it ended up, because of those crushing injuries, they're very common for them to come back with backside like organ issues. It's a cascade of issues that happen after those sort of crushing injuries.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, and he passed on the 15th of July, 22.
Wow.
And that was, I mean, it's the same thing with PD or really anybody. You know, if there's somebody that you work with intimately and there's something happens, somebody gets shot, somebody gets killed, something. Typically, that's not a good day. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Not a good day because we have a sick ability to someone we don't know separate ourselves
Yes.
as best we can from it. Some are not as easy as others,
Mhm.
but detach ourselves from it compartmentalize, whatever you want to explain it, and stash that away.
Mm-hmm.
But when you are looking into the eyes of someone that you know, someone that you've eaten with,
Yeah.
trained with, gone through tough calls together, and helped each other through all that kind of stuff, I I can agree, because I've lost people, not through felonious or I've lost a friend to suicide that I worked with closely,
Mm-hmm.
and it's different. For me, thankfully, I it's not that I was there.
Yeah.
It's just I learned of it and was, you know, but to be there and to have to see them, and just especially in a situation where, as you said, there's just life threatening stuff that you guys can't repair on the truck,
Mm-hmm.
in the box, and then at ORMC, even that it's just
And there were a lot
not
of
able
things that
to.
went with that call too, man, that it wasn't just that stuff that I like spoke about. It was the reactions that some of the other guys were having of literally like just mentally broke on the spot. Like they don't remember me showing up.
Right.
They don't remember me talking to them. Like just their bad day too. And I met his dad at the training center 10 minutes prior to. Like he saw his spot on his iPhone. He saw his location. He worked for Budweiser. He came up and went to give Celsius to us and was
Uh,
just like hugging him and kissing him and trying to embarrass him. And
yeah.
Austin was all about it. Like,
No.
and so literally 10 minutes after that was when that accident
That's
happened.
yeah. That
And
that
so,
even rips.
yeah.
Yeah.
And, his dad, because that bothered me for a while, and his dad put that in perspective of like, yes, I saw him. That was the last time I saw him normal, but I got to see him.
Yeah.
And like that changed my perspective completely on that. That like really really got me for a while. And talking to him about it, and he kind of straightened that out for me, if you want to say, of just
Yeah.
looking at it differently.
That's sometimes you gotta you gotta find the best in it,
Yeah.
and that kind of thing. And I remember one of the things you told me was, um, part of the other compounding injury to you and others is the put back into service,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
the push to go back into service, and that's one thing it's expressed. I've heard it from you, and then now I've even picked up on it in other
Mm-hmm.
situations, and in critical incident debrief or after action reports
Mm-hmm.
of, listen, like, these guys can't go back to work
Yeah.
right now. Like, like, we don't make the officer go back to an officer involved, or back to work right after an officer
Mm-hmm.
involved shooting. But then, like, what about his partner that was
Yeah.
right there? A lot of that is the liability of, if he shoots somebody else on the next call, this is going to look bad. It's going to look like we have a killer
Yeah.
on our hands, even though the circumstances may just play out that
Sure.
way. Um, but what about that? What about that officer that was standing right next to him? So in
Mm-hmm.
your case, what about that medic that showed up on the first or second
Yeah.
rescue?
So.
And they had to, that, one was on the bag, the other one was on compressions, or
Mm-hmm.
was, sticking leads,
Mm-hmm.
or holding a C-spine,
Yeah.
dealing with that kind of
There.
stuff.
So that was part of, and we can get into it. That was part of something that through therapy I learned was kind of deep rooted in me, of a scar that had happened from that.
Yeah.
So right after that, once they had left the scene and the ambulance went to the hospital, me and my partner, we were directed to go back to Station 5, was the station that I was at, the station that Austin was at for that day, and to cover because the engine crew was one of the first ones on scene, Engine Five's crew.
Mm-hmm.
So they were going to stay there for obvious reasons because of the incident, and they were going to be out of service, but they wanted us to go back and cover. It's the first time this has ever happened for our department,
Yeah.
so I don't like blame anybody for not understanding the process or anything, but um, I went back to the station. Austin's truck was still there. Austin's room was still made. Like I helped put his room stuff back together. His truck was there for 3 days
Yeah.
afterwards, 3 or 4 days. And we just went back to the station and was still running calls. And on the official report for this incident, they don't have me listed on there. They did not know that I was there.
Yeah.
And so like my worst day, and they didn't even know that I was there.
Yeah.
And we were just hanging out waiting for more calls. Like we were expecting to get called in, we never did. We were expecting for people to come and talk to us, they never did.
Right.
It all happened at Station 1. They just told us to go back to work. Just me and my partner. Um, and kind of ties into two other incidents that really like threw me into therapy for this, because it was similar in that aspect. But that like put a big bad taste in my mouth towards things. Um, how can I be exposed to this kind of thing, and then like I'm not expecting a thank you, but like I legitimately can't sleep.
Yeah.
I'm not okay. I was on the honor guard, and like such a huge opportunity and blessing. I'm very thankful that I got to do it, but I helped put Austin in the ground. I
Yeah.
did casket watch. Like I was on top of the engine when we rode from one place to another.
Yeah.
Like I was with Austin during that last phase,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. I did the same thing for Cindy.
I would do it 1,000 times.
Mm-hmm.
That is like I could stop my career now, and that's one of the most honorable things I've ever done.
Yeah.
Um, I would rather do it than have somebody else do it.
Yep.
Like, I don't know how that sounds, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather do it the right way. And
Yeah. It's important. It's important. And I was on honor guard for, I don't know. My jacket says 18 years, but I feel like I was, they let me come hang out even after
yeah,
probation,
yeah,
and I wasn't on yet. I was a honor guard nerd. Like I needed to be there.
mm-hmm,
I wanted to be there. My boys and I would say, listen, like this pavement's hot. Our knees hurt, our backs hurt from coming to attention too many times. We're about to black out, but we would rather not be in there in that under that flag.
mm-hmm,
We're doing it for them. We're doing it for their family,
absolutely.
and it was one of the most important things of my career. That's obviously why I did it the longest, and I felt it's just important. And
There's very few things that we can get out of mutually, I would assume, out of our careers
yeah,
than that kind of when you are
yeah,
needed, like that's what the family remembers. That's what your crew remembers.
yeah,
Like everybody came up afterwards, and all of my guys came up and just thanked me, and like they told me like they couldn't do it, and like it needs to be done.
yeah,
I will do it.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, so like I'm still on honor guard. It's still something that is very close to my heart. Um, being able to carry that sort of uh, respect towards everybody.
hmm,
Like good day, bad day. Like sure, we're in a Christmas parade, cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But like when it comes to like a bad day,
hmm,
like we are one of the direct liaisons with the family, with the funeral director, like anything that the family needs, like we are one of the ones who will help
yeah,
facilitate that. And that's the least we can do,
yeah,
you know. But yeah, so that was like my number one. If we want to kind of jump into those other two calls real quick,
yeah,
like I said, I got really bitter from that. Kind of I don't want to say the lack of attention, but like people forgot about me.
hmm,
And then there were two more calls. Not last October, but the one before that. Um, that really broke me, and it all kind of stemmed back from Austin stuff. I never sought any sort of treatment. I never like spoke to anybody about it, like in a therapy setting. I never felt like it had gotten to that point. But these two are what really did it, and through therapy I found that it stemmed from Austin's.
yeah,
Um, so you can get mandatoried on shift, which means you think you're going home, hey, you got to work another 24 hours.
yeah.
We don't have anybody else. You're getting mandatory.
Jeez.
So it was on a mandatory shift. It was both my normal shift and the actual mandatory shift. I had 2 calls back to back that were really bad.
Mm-hmm.
One of which, the first one, we had a call that was almost identical to Austin's. It was a 35-year-old guy was working underneath like a pull behind food truck trailer, and it was in grass, and the trailer had collapsed, crushed him from here up.
Oh.
Uh, when we got there, PD and family had pulled him out. Injuries were almost identical to
Yeah.
Austin's. And they pulled him out. He was a cardiac arrest. He was a trauma code. We did compressions. We bagged him. I just got we call it an IO. It's basically where you drill into the bone to be able to get medications in.
Oh,
Instead
okay.
of an IV, it's a different way of access.
Yeah.
And we just did a pulse check. I was getting ready to push the first medication, and we had pulses. That's like 0.01% that ever happens.
Yeah.
We had pulses back, got blood pressure, it was stable. He was alive from the time we transported him, got him to the hospital. He looked good. Um, the boys are high-fiving. It was a save, all that
Yeah.
stuff. But because of Austin, like I knew better. This
Yeah.
guy died 9 days later.
Yeah.
Um,
So it was almost a repeat.
yeah,
you know.
very, very much so. And when I was in the back of the ambulance riding with them, because I wasn't the lead medic, but I helped during transport, and on scene, but I helped during transport. I told them, I'm like, this is like identical to Austin's.
Yeah.
Like, don't put like good job, but
Yeah.
just
Let's broach our kind of
exactly.
expectations a little bit, or
Um, I was okay after that call. It was the second half of the 48. It was the first call we got in the morning. It was a 14-year-old suicide.
mm-hmm.
The kid hung himself.
Mm.
Mom was out of the country or out of the state. Dad went to discipline the kid, took away his video games. Dad found him 20 minutes later hanging from a workout set.
Jeez.
Um, and a pediatric anything isn't really fun.
Right.
Yet alone pediatric suicide,
Yeah.
it adds on to it. And then
Almost unheard of, or not unheard, almost unheard of, and terrible.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah, just
And
to think that kid was putting through that.
right. And Dad was the one who found him. Dad was the one who took him down. When we got there, Dad was the first one that I saw. And I watched Dad go from super sweaty from just everything going on and him keeping it together to like legitimately when Dad broke.
Yeah.
And it brought me back to Austin and seeing his dad 10 minutes prior and like all that stuff.
Yeah, just the family, just relationships and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And
Yeah.
it's that one, like when you start to like step back and your mind starts to work and you start doing like the equations and stuff like
Mhm.
that, and you put family dynamics in, and then sometimes like for me, I might associate my own family into it, and it's
Yep.
just kind of like, okay, there, and then
Yep.
that's when you can break, is when you
You put
internalize it
yourself,
so much.
yeah,
Yeah,
you put
you put
yourself
yourself
into
there.
it a lot.
Yeah.
Like for me, I don't have issues seeing the things necessarily.
Yeah.
The gore and everything of stuff doesn't bother me. It's the dynamic of the call of what happened, the background story, the history of it.
Right.
If it's a patient that we've been dealing with for a while, and then all of a sudden they commit suicide and you've been seeing it like adding up,
Mm-hmm.
like those sort of things is what will get me more so than
Weighs
just
on
like
you.
actually
Yeah.
doing it. But the kid one is just that whole dynamic of that call is just bad. It's a bad call.
Yeah.
So going back to how this relates to Awesomes and like the whole being forgotten thing, um, had no debrief for any of those 2 calls.
Mm.
Um, the one when the trailer came out, I heard like there were people who were coming to me when we finished the call. We got back to one of the stations to resupply our equipment and stuff. And there were people that were like, we were at the training center and we heard that. And like, there were a couple people who just immediately started crying. They weren't on Austin's call. I'm not like negating how they felt, but like Austin's stuff had such a big impact on people. Just hearing a similar call was enough to make people break.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm on that call too. And there was no debrief. Like, even just from, and the people who were supposed to, coming up and, hey man, I heard that call come out. I know that kind of hits close to home. You doing all right? Like,
Yeah.
just something simple. None of that happened.
Wow.
That pediatric hanging. Um, so the it was in Station Five's first due is the area that you were responsible for. It was in Station Five's first due. Station Five was on another call, so now you have second due units who
Oh.
are
Oh, thank you for
responsible.
explaining that. I never really understood that. Yeah.
So you have that way. There's always somebody who's covering your area. If
Yeah.
another station is out and then a call comes out in their area, it's a second due unit that's going to be responding. And so it was my second due. And then the engine was also coming from another. It was ambulance 4, engine 2, captain 1 responding to a Station 5 call. And one of our admins heard about the call, went to station afterwards, went to Station 2, checked on the engine guys. I'm at a completely different station, and it's something literally as simple as looking at the CAD and who was on that call.
Right.
And he checked in with them. It was on his way home from church. Cool. Didn't get a phone call. Didn't get a text. Like,
Yeah.
I got some texts from some other people, but not the people who it's supposed to be their job.
Yeah. Yeah. It's command's responsibility.
Right.
You know, especially in this day and age. I mean, this is in 1989.
Well,
You know.
when you're a health and safety officer,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's an admin position in a fire department.
and so 3 big calls when you would think it would be an automatic check-in,
Yeah.
was completely forgotten about.
Wow.
So ran the pediatric call, came back to the station. That was first thing in the morning. Went back to the weight room, bawled.
Mm-hmm.
We ran 5 calls after that, and it was the exact same thing. I'd come back from the station, bawl, get a call, clean myself up, get back in the ambulance. Like, it was like the worst mentally I had ever been, like, on shift, and my guys had no clue.
Wow.
Part of that was my fault because I didn't tell them. So it's like I'm not expecting anything from them, especially if I'm not saying anything.
Right.
Bringing it back to the family, like, it's communication.
Yeah.
If there's something that's bothering you, you need to communicate. Otherwise, people aren't going to know.
Yep.
So I put that fault on my own for just not speaking up when we're supposed to. And the following shift, so I had 1 day off because it was a mandatory 48.
Right. You got mandatory on your first day off,
Yep.
technically.
So I had 1 day off. It was our neighbor kid's birthday party. So I didn't, I was
Yeah. Yeah.
present
You're
but not
active. You're
present.
active.
Right.
Active. Yeah.
Came back to work, and I told my district chief. He was at my station. I was like, I'm just letting you know I'm just having a rough time. I was like, cool, just let me know. He's like, do you need to go home now? I'm like, I don't think so. I think I'm good. I ran like 4 of like the easiest calls you could run. No injuries, fell, just needs help getting up,
Yeah.
lift assist,
Lift
right?
assist,
Like,
yeah.
nothing crazy. Just mind was not there. Could
Mm-hmm.
not do it. And I told him. He got in contact with our health and safety. And then he pulled me from shift. I was out of shift for 3, almost 4 months.
Wow.
Went through treatment. Here in Central Florida, we are very blessed with a program through UCF. It's called
Whoop,
UCF.
whoop, go Knights. Sorry.
It's called UCF Restores, and it's a free program for first responders,
Oh.
military, police, and I believe healthcare as well. Specifically designed for PTSD treatment. Of course, you have to qualify, right? It's through like a pre-screening thing, and they match you with a therapist, and then you go through your treatments. There's
Yeah.
a couple different ways that they approach it, but it's all based off of how your PTSD symptoms are presenting. Some people deal with PTSD with a lot of guilt. I could have done something different. It's
Yeah.
my fault. Or like a lot of imagery in their head, a lot of like playback, a lot of like triggers. You hear a sound and it takes you back, smells, stuff like that.
Right.
I didn't necessarily have the fault. I wasn't like putting blame on myself. It was more of just the environmental triggers and stuff like that. A lot of flashbacks and very classic can't sleep, or if you do, you wake up with a nightmare, that kind of
Yeah.
thing. And UCF does a thing that they call exposure therapy, where you go in depth with your bad day, um, and they write a narrative like you are telling the story present day. So it's not, I was at the training center, it was, I'm at the training center.
Okay.
And you get into detail of how your body responded, the sweats, the chills, shaking, like all of the things that in the moment your body does.
Yeah.
Um, and you basically recite that over and over and over and over again. Um, some people respond very, very well. I am very thankful that I did. It is very, very difficult in the beginning because you're reliving and your body reacts the exact same way.
Yeah.
But like we would have like 2 hour sessions where like that's what you were doing is just okay, where's your level of anxiety at? Let's do it again. Let's do it again. What are you noticing now? And the more you do it, the more you realize that there's specific triggers within the story that you didn't know before that you can then understand once it starts triggering you outside of.
Mm-hmm.
The smell of sand was one of them for me,
Wow.
or like the
Yeah. Yeah.
feeling of sand on my arm because I got sand on my arm from pulling Austin out. Um,
I want to make a I want to make a Star Wars joke. I know you're a Star Wars
I
fan,
hate
so
sand.
okay. Thank you, Anakin. I'm just bringing it.
Yeah.
I'm bringing it into a different realm. But yeah.
But like playing with my son, he's playing in the sandbox. He comes up and gives me a hug, and the sand gets on my arms, and then it takes me back,
Yeah.
and I have a flashback. Shouldn't it shouldn't like that's taking me away from my son, from my family,
Right.
and it shouldn't do that, but it does because
Mm-hmm.
that's how your body is trying to cope with that sort of trauma. So the more you understand where these triggers are coming from, the more you're able to just kind of let them come and not focus on it, but just kind of understand where and why.
Mm.
And then eventually the level of intensity is going to lessen.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
it can
Yeah.
either completely disappear, or instead of it being at a 9 or 10 of intensity, it's now at a 1 or 2 or 3. It's a little bit more manageable, but you understand why. Um, And so those two other calls outside of Austin, both related to Austin. Austin was the big trigger for those other two calls, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
other two calls have enough in it to bother me, but it all related back
Yeah.
to him. So we focused
Yeah.
our
If
treatment
if
on
the
Austin.
foundation wasn't already broken
Correct.
from the original,
Correct.
you get an earthquake and your foundation gets broken,
Absolutely.
and then you have a windstorm,
Yeah.
just a windstorm that most houses are gonna stand up to. You have no foundation
Nope.
anymore, so your foundation's already cracked, and then your house gets fucking
Yep.
swallowed.
Yep.
So
And that's
yeah,
exactly what happened. And unfortunately, it got me getting knocked on my ass
yeah,
for me to realize that like this isn't good.
yeah,
Um, like it took my wife giving me a kick in the ass. It took me giving myself a kick in the ass.
yeah.
Like my wife had been telling me since Austin happened that I needed to go talk to somebody about it.
Really,
And we're stubborn.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And we feel like because it's not bothering me now, it's not bothering
Yep.
me. And then finally you freaking get kicked in the nuts and you realize, no, it's because I didn't take care of things before.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful to say that through UCF, it's given me the foundation, the new foundation.
Hey.
We've ran bad calls. Like a couple weeks ago, we had a 2-month-old code.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it sucks. It's bad. It's not a fun call, but I understand why the body reacts the way it does, when it does, when the adrenaline dumps the way that I know you've experienced it, where like you're going to a call and you're like, not a good call.
Yeah.
Like before you even get there, you know it's not a
Yeah.
good call, and your body automatically starts reacting. Well, not
The copper
holding,
pennies.
yeah,
Yeah.
like and it's natural.
Yeah.
Like you would be clinically diagnosed if you didn't have that kind of reaction.
It's very true, and we need to be conscious of that and understand that. In that, okay, so you've been able to find help, find resolution.
Yes.
Has your department unfucked itself? I can say it because I don't work for them.
Mhm.
So the 2-year-old that codes, anybody talk to you? Anybody professionally? Not a hey bro, you good? But like, is there a debrief, or is there a talking to? Has there been lessons learned agency wise? Because you didn't necessarily point fingers. You're obviously still in the job, but I would point fingers at an agency to be somewhat culpable, not legally or any of that kind of
Yeah.
lawsuit. I'm just saying, like,
Make the
culpable.
brotherhood mean something.
Well, that's a whole
That's a
nother
whole nother thing.
podcast. But because so many agencies nowadays, and for years, I know mine did the same thing, created pastor positions, or either non-denominational or clergy type. They've created peer support groups, and stuff. Have you guys done any of that kind of stuff? I know you guys aren't a huge agency, but
We're
any
growing. We're
yeah.
yeah. I mean, we're pretty big.
Oh, okay.
Well, relatively speaking. But yes, the answer to that question, yeah.
Okay.
So that was the 2-month-old code. That was the first debrief I've had in my career.
Okay.
Now, what it took was me going on that 3 to 4 month. They put me on light duty. I was in the office.
That's true. So that was documented,
Yes.
recognized, all that kind of stuff. So it's like they also got a kick in the ass,
Yes.
hopefully.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what it took was me telling my admin that was responsible for that I was legitimately hurt,
Mm-hmm.
that I felt abandoned and left behind on some of the worst days of my career.
Yeah.
And I had to see him every day I was in admin.
Right. Yeah. On
And
admin duty. Yeah.
and I told him that when I was on the phone driving home,
Mm-hmm.
getting pulled off a shift. So like I was angry, I was frustrated, but I have learned, and I learned then, if you don't say anything, you can't blame anybody for not knowing.
Right.
So I will take the fall and have this rough spot put on me if it means that somebody else is going to get taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
Because I guarantee you, I'm not the first one that this has happened to.
Yeah.
If this has been a regular practice, someone else is going through something very similar.
Yep.
Again, I will be like how I felt with the honor guard. I will do it if it means that it's going to take care of what needs to be done.
For sure.
So I told him that and how I felt and didn't hold anything back on it. And he pulled me into his office one day and he's like, look, what you said really, really stuck with me. And he's like, it made me realize that you were right. And he's like, and we dropped the ball big time.
Good.
And he printed out like a massive folder of things that like are procedures and stuff like that he has to work with on his end. And he was highlighting things that he felt needed to be changed.
Yeah.
And like every time I'd go in there, he would be in there doing something with the book. And I personally never saw, because we never really had anybody go out for any sort of PTSD thing like that.
Mm-hmm.
People would be sent home after Austin stuff. We had like 3 or 4 months where like people go into work and they're like, I can't do it. They'd send them home. Cool. But anything else past that, they weren't really doing.
Yeah.
And so, cool. I'll take the fall. I'll be the guy that people make fun of for freaking going out because their brain's not working right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
But that's
good.
a stigma that a lot of us have, and it needs to be freaking stopped.
Yeah, broken, and break that stigma and work through it, because we can't, to sound terrible, we can't stack bodies on our side,
No.
with guys taking their own life
Mm-mm.
or getting a divorce or hurting their family members or hurting their kids
Mm-hmm.
because they're dealing with a demon or something inside them that they they can't work with.
Mm-hmm.
And it's part of the culture that that came before us,
Yes.
and those are the lives that they lived, maybe not by choice, but by lack of education or lack of
Lack of
experience and support.
yeah.
And we have the ability to know this now. We have these major universities in the area that, sorry, we're going to be guinea pigs. We're going to get studied,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to try to teach. The military spearheaded it probably long before we did.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we're of some of those industries, the first responders, the veteran, and even healthcare, like I was explaining in a TV show, a 12-hour shift in an emergency department of a major metropolitan trauma center could be pretty sick.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so the mental health aspect is is a huge is a huge spot to be studied. And you know good on you to that you were able to step up. I'm sorry that you had to deal with all that, and that all beat you up that way, but I'm happy for you that you've um you know learned through this therapy. It's an interesting therapy. I've never really heard about
It's
that style.
intense,
Yeah.
and it's definitely geared towards the. I mean, it is a PTSD
Yeah.
thing, and like I said before, some people respond, some people don't. And I think it was my mentality going in of like, look, I'm broken.
Yep.
I need help. I
Yeah.
was dealing with this how I thought I was dealing with this. Like, well, apparently I wasn't.
Yeah.
And I need help.
Yeah.
And talking to my therapist, she told me, she's like, from day one, like you weren't resisting anything. Like we have to have that mindset when we're going in of like we're going in because we're broken, we need help getting fixed.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with asking for that. Um, because like your house is on fire, you call me.
Mm-hmm.
When the bank's getting robbed, call you.
Yeah.
What happens when we need help mentally? There's somebody that does that. And especially when you're dealing with somebody who deals with us.
Yeah.
Like we can that was the really cool thing about it is we didn't when I was there, I didn't have to sugarcoat anything.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to censor anything of graphics of what I saw, things I heard, like any of the things that if you were to talk to what you think would be a normal therapist might get red flagged or
Right.
might be too much for just because of the description alone. Like
Yeah.
that's what they deal with is
I've had two podcasts with different organizations, nonprofits, one very nationwide and one kind of South Florida-esque, Bleeding Blue Incorporated in South
mhm,
Florida, good friends, and then Overwatch Collective, which is more of a nationwide. And one of the big things that they really work with is culturally competent,
yeah.
like therapists
Mhm.
and doctors that understand like as you're saying, the culture, the what's a joke and what's actually trauma,
Mhm.
what's nasty, all this kind of stuff, and aren't there to watch a TV show through your stories.
Right.
They're not there to listen to your stories. They understand it. They've heard this stuff, and they know. So I'm going to drop those because of this part of the conversation. If anybody's ever feeling that kind of stuff and needs an organization like that, I'm going to put those guys down in the
Please, and
description
if
for
you don't
sure.
mind, put in UCF Restores.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a free program. Um, First responders, military, police,
Yeah.
all that stuff. Um, they took care of me,
Yeah.
and that was the one spot that I felt legitimately cared for.
Yeah.
It's rough, it's hard work, but I'm telling you, it got me where I'm at now.
It's good. It's good. So we got about 15 minutes because this is a
Yeah.
busy, busy, crazy content day for me. Yo, what's up, everybody? Want to let you know I have a new website format. Same website, donutshoppodcast.com, but this time I'm running it through Shopify. Make it much easier to purchase items because aside from the hats that I have up there, Donut Shop Podcast, PVC hats, the blue line snapback, laser mesh, nice and clean on the inside, comfy hats. I have some other swag, t-shirts, can koozies, just some other stuff that I put up there. I'm running the website through Shopify, and so it'll make it real easy for you guys to go on and purchase some stuff and support the show. So thanks for tuning in and following the show, and don't forget donutshoppodcast.com. Thanks. Hey, come here. Come here. No, bring it in real close. I got something for you. Did you subscribe yet? Right down there. Hit that subscribe button and the bell notification because you got to know when we're going to give you a show. Do it. Go now. Go now. I'm waiting. Come on. Right there. All right, back to the show. I got another podcast coming up. So you have rolled this into this is where I wanted kind of the higher note.
Yeah.
The tattooing, the art, because aside from being, like tattoo artist is a title, and it's not just, some people might do tattoos, but those are few and far between. I know many tattoo artists that are artists as well. So you enjoy art and then you enjoy putting ink in people's body and you can put them both together, right?
Yeah.
So
So a little backstory on that. I've been drawing my whole life. My dad, I take a lot of who I am from my dad and how he raised me. And I can remember drawing toys and candles like in the living room floor, and my dad teaching me how to draw. And I've been drawing my whole life. And you grow up, you kind of lose some of these hobbies
yeah.
and things that kind of make you who you were when you were younger. And I stopped drawing for quite a while, busy adult life, working. Met my wife. I drew a picture of my wife for her wedding. It was one of her wedding pictures. And that was like the first time I had drawn in a long time. I was working at a hospital and at the fire department. Between the two jobs, I was pulling 100 120 hours a week, like just every day working.
Yeah.
And I had always promised my wife that I wouldn't bring work home with me, and I did. Now this was before Austin stuff, so she told me, she's like, "Look, you got to stop at the hospital. Like you're bringing it home." Like I wasn't able to give my full self at home because I'm burned out from everything else. And a lot of us, we have a second job on those 2 days off because we've got 2 days off. Like might as well make some money.
Yeah.
And I ended up leaving the hospital, and I realized that I was working all of that time to keep my mind and my hand busy. Well, now that I had this idle time, I started getting depressed and anxious and like all this stuff. And my wife told me, she goes, "Why don't you start drawing again? Like, do something. Like, why don't you start drawing again?" I did, and after a month of that, she goes, she's like, "Have you thought about tattooing?" No.
Shot in the dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, my wife knowing me, that was that little seed that I needed, because it's kind of hard to get into, like professionally, looking for like an apprenticeship and all that stuff. Skill wise, like it takes work. And I'm not going to be one who kind of half-asses it.
Yeah.
Like if I
Good. Thank you.
If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And so I took a year to build up my portfolio. I found an artist that I really liked the way that he was presenting himself online, and I was teaching things for free, just little here's and
Tips.
there's. And he was local, and he was the first artist I went to, and he gave me an opportunity, and I apprenticed under him. That doesn't happen very often. A lot of times you go into a shop and they're like, "No, bro, thanks."
Yeah.
Or they dog all your work and you ain't good enough and all that stuff. He was the first person I approached, and he gave me an opportunity.
That's awesome.
Creative Soul, CREA8, TIVE Soul. Go check him out. Incredible artist, absolute great man. I learned from him. I worked in a shop for about 3 years. There was a change in season, and it's kind of writing on the walls. It was an opportunity for me to open up my shop. Um, Shop is First Do Tattoos, fire department, so the first do.
Yep.
And there really aren't very many of us as in firefighters that are doing it. Some of them are like doing it like on the side, kind of on the guys in the shop or at the station and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But nothing like from what I've seen, there aren't really very many, if any, that really own a tattoo studio. There are a couple that I do know of on Instagram, but it's not fire department themed. It's just a tattoo shop.
Yeah, yeah. Your place is like
And
or firehouse. You got the brick, you got the fire hydrant in there and
yep,
stuff, and
yep,
yeah, and then obviously the decor is his helmet. Photographs your
mm,
photograph with Austin and
yeah.
stuff, and and flags and all
Yeah,
kinds of stuff,
it's
man.
got the
It's
whole
cool.
firehouse deal in
Yeah,
there, and the thing that I want to kind of present there, I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity to go and hang out at a firehouse, but a big part of the culture is the kitchen table.
yeah,
So there isn't supposed to be any rank there. Like everybody is there as a family. You talk about the good stuff, you talk about the bad stuff, you eat there, you do training at the kitchen table. Like when people retire and they miss the department, they miss
the
that kitchen
kitchen.
table.
Yeah,
That's where like some of the best conversations happen. You freaking play poker till 2 in the morning, like that kind of
yep,
thing. And I wanted to kind of represent that at the shop and have that part of the good of the fire department at a tattoo studio. And I mean, you can't walk into a fire station without seeing somebody tattooed. And it's one of a couple things that almost all firemen have in common: guns, fishing, hunting, or tattoos.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Any one of those four, and you can pretty much hold a conversation with them.
yeah.
And I wanted to go the tattoo route, and I've had guys fly in from out of state for memorial pieces for guys that
Oh,
they lost. Like it's such a huge honor, and
yeah. No,
just
you've done a few on our boy Tyler's
oh
back
yeah, yeah,
piece and all
yeah,
that kind of
yep.
stuff. So
And
yeah,
it's a lot of the times, like it was with you, I hadn't necessarily met you before, but there's that commonality that we have, and it was like we already knew each other. Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. We're sitting there. It's a small space because it's one of these like salon type things inside of a larger building, and it's just me and him, and we're like legit just talking. I mean, granted, talking like we are right now, but it was just a chill conversation. Had a lot in common: first
hmm,
responder stuff, Star Wars, Coheed and
yep,
Cambria, just a whole bunch of stuff. Plus, we were already kind of on the page working together in a for a concert later that
yes,
night.
yeah,
So we there was it was cool, and being mushy about that kind of stuff. That's kind of what I the one of the only other I've had two other tattoo artists. The first one was an apprentice that looked like Jack Sparrow. That when I used to work details at a pool hall, he was always hanging out at the pool
mm,
hall, and he was like, "Oh," and it was my first tattoo, and he's like, you want to get tattooed? Oh yeah, I could." I mean, I didn't realize he was an apprentice, so he's like trying out techniques and shit on me, and oh, I want to do the waves or these this filler, and I'm like, yeah, and then I'm like, oh, that fucking looks like shit, but it's on my body now, and but it is what it is, like so. And my buddy went and got his Oakland Raiders tattoo on the back of his calf, which yeah actually looks good, but you're doing a basic design, you're
yeah,
not doing
yeah,
art,
yeah.
and so but I went to that guy several times and stuff, but it was more I enjoy the relationship of getting tattooed. I don't want to just walk in Cancun and just go, hey, dude, I want to do this piece right here. All right, cool. Thanks. Do this.
Some of my
You
best
know?
experiences getting tattooed is with a
Yeah.
friendly artist,
Yeah.
and anybody will pretty much tell you that.
Mhm.
If there's an artist that's just pretty cold, they come in, do your piece, you're gone. Like, cool, it may have been a good piece, but you wouldn't recommend the experience.
Yeah.
And, for my shop, like, fire department is notorious. You can take classes out of state and you're freaking buddies with these guys that you've never met because you've got that common ground.
Hmm.
You don't have to talk shop, but you just know that 9 times out of 10, you guys will probably get along.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's the same thing with us, police, military, fire department, nursing, anything like that. Like it falls within that umbrella. And like If you want to talk about a bad day, I'm here to talk about a bad day because I got it too.
Mm-hmm.
It's therapy session for both of us. But if you want to have a good time, just hang out, chill. I've got some whiskey over there. You want some?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Like it's that kitchen table. Like everything's open. If you want to talk shop, feel free.
Yeah.
Like I've got yours to talk about. If you want to just have a good time, that's what we're there for too.
All right.
And I joke and I say that it helps me get my crazy out in a healthy, productive way, and it's the honest God truth.
Yeah,
Like any,
you're abusing people, man. You're stabbing.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
you're hurting people,
But like if
but it's a healthy hurt.
it is, and it's a like creative challenge for me, it helps. It
Mm-hmm.
it exercises a part of my brain that I don't get to do at the fire department.
Yep.
And if you come to me for a custom piece, you're coming to me for my art, my style. The creative challenge is taking what you are wanting and being able to produce that in a way that you would be happy with to wear the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And taking the, if you want to say, the bad, crazy energy from the calls and all that. That's what I mean by the crazy, is having a healthy way of being able to express that.
Yeah.
And that's through art.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a thing called art therapy, and that's exactly what that is. So being able to express that, put it on people, it's a good time for me. It's a bad time for them.
Yeah. No, but
But
that's awesome, man. And you know, it, it's I mean, I've seen your work in the studio. Again, I will put his Instagram and stuff, and then you have a website too, right?
yeah, it's
You have a,
firsttwotattoos.com.
but then you also have an art website too, right? Or it's an art Instagram.
It's
It's
an
your
art
art.
Instagram. It's it was
I'm gonna
have
put all that stuff
yeah.
in the description below so you could see his art, and then his tattoo page also has work and stuff like that. And just like I said, if you're up here and you got some time, hit him up obviously with more than 10 hours notice because he might be
Please.
on shift. But schedule something out. And I've been trying to schedule something out in my head in advance myself, but everything's, we're always so run. But yeah, man. So thank you for coming on. And I'm glad we finally got to do this episode.
Thanks for having me,
And
man.
maybe we'll get another one and we'll talk about tattoo horror stories or something like that. So we'll get you back over and talk about those. So all right, everybody. Well, thank you very much. Thank you again, Josh. And everything will be down in the description below. All right, have a good one.
Calling all units, calling all units. Donut Shop has a fresh dozen. Go ahead and take a 1040.